Alright, so we are back for another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about who you should exchange your Memorial Dragon Stones for, because of course we did just get all the Memorial Dragon Stones, which let me know in the comments how many you got, and of course there's a lot of really good units featured on both the A and B banner, so there are some good options to buy with your Memorial Dragon Stones, but I do want to specify this very early on in the video. I don't recommend you do it if you have like 90% of these guys rainbowed, because if you've got a lot of these rainbowed, then it makes sense why you would want to buy one of them, obviously with your Memorial Dragon Stones. But if you're still missing dupes for a lot of these characters, I honestly just recommend you summon on these banners, because of course you have a chance of pulling them just with the tickets instead. But then by using 150 Memorial Dragon Stones to buy a unit, I mean, for most players, you're using the majority of your stones just to buy that unit instead of using the tickets, so then you won't really be able to summon as much. So for your average player who doesn't have every one of these rainbowed, or majority of them rainbowed, I recommend you just use tickets. But if you do want to pick up a specific unit, in today's video we're going to be talking about the best options you could choose. So obviously, first off, we've got 200% leader skills. A lot of the 200% leads are going to be very valuable. I would say the most valuable ones would be the STR Goku Exchange into Gohan, the Tech Pan, the Int Majin Vegeta, and then Captain Ginyu. Obviously, again, they're 200% leads. This guy leads Super Saiyans and Goku family, so very good if you're new to the game. He can look pretty impressive. He's stacking attack. He gets defense on super. He has dodge for the first couple turns as well. So even in places like Super Battle Road, this guy could be pretty impressive. And then when you exchange into Gohan, then this guy looks really good even by today's standards, considering he's, what, a little over a year old. So he does get guard. He gets a lot of attacking defense on super. 50% attacking defense on super is definitely very good. He also gets some extra defense, the more HP remaining. You do need to receive, I think, 6 attacks in total. Yeah, 6 attacks right here to get the guaranteed guard for the rest of the fight. But when you exchange, you get guard for 3 turns. So then you're going to want to kind of throw him in slot 1 to take as many attacks as possible. But keep in mind, he's got the nullification here. He's going to have that guaranteed guard for the first 3 turns. And you're going to want to build up with him. So it's not that big of a deal. You got to throw him in slot 1 to take the attacks. But it can get kind of tricky in some situations. But overall, a very good unit. And definitely someone I would recommend picking up with your Memorial Dragon Stones. And then next up, we do have the Tech Pan. So right now on Global, she's not the craziest, but we are going to get the Tanabata Super Saiyan 4 Goku in November. And then with him, she is going to be a little bit better. She's going to have some better teams. It's going to be a little bit easier to get her active skill as well. She also has some buffs in her kit when there's a Goku on the team. So when that Goku releases, she's going to be a little bit better. But right now, she's all right. She's a solid slot 1 option. She's got some damage reduction in slot 1. She builds up. So she can definitely look impressive, but she's not insane, but she is helping some pretty weak teams, so if you want to pick her up, again, I could see that, because on some of these weaker teams, she's one of the best units. Like, I mean, Space Traveling Warriors doesn't have good superclass options. Bond of Friendship, she's probably the best lead for Bond of Friendship, I think. And then, stuff like Youth is pretty bad, so she's helping some weak teams, so I could definitely understand if you want to pick her up. And then next up, we do have the Int Majin Vegeta. So this guy's pretty solid as well. He's got a good leader skill. He's got damage reduction. If you have the LR Vegeta and Trunks, running them together is still a very good rotation. This guy does have the active skill that hits reasonably hard. And then he's also on some pretty weak teams. So a good unit to pick up. Not really much to talk about with this guy. And then next we do have the Dokkan Fest Captain Ginyu. So this guy is very good on a Ginyu Force team. If you don't have these other Ginyu Force units, I don't recommend you pick them up. And by other Ginyu Force units, I'm not really talking about the free-to-play units. I more or less mean the Int Jason Birder, and then I think it's the STR Rakuman Guldo. They might be physical. Actually, I'm pretty sure they're STR. So if you have both of those banner units, or maybe one of them, and then of course you've got the free-to-play LR Ginyu Force, and then the other free-to-play LR Ginyu Force, then you could build a pretty crazy team with this guy, and then all of those units I just mentioned. But if you're missing some of those units, if you only have the free-to-play Ginyu Force, like TUR units, then your team's not really going to be that crazy. So if you've got them, definitely buying this guy is going to be pretty smart. But if you don't, I would hold off on buying him and maybe go for some of these other options that work well on their own. Because with Captain Ginyu by himself, he's not really the craziest. You kind of need other Ginyu Force units to make him look impressive, right? So now we're going to be talking about some non-200% leader skill units, but I do want to specify there are still a couple 200% leads we didn't talk about. There is the AGL Cell, there's the Blue Boys, and then there is Physical Raditz on this banner. So under no circumstance should you buy Physical Raditz. I don't really think I need to mention that, but yeah, don't buy Physical Raditz. He's really bad. And then on this banner, I could see why you would want to buy Cell. I guess I could see why you'd want to buy Blue Boys, but I feel like the options I mentioned are just straight up better because there are some pretty big issues with some of these units. So like with Raditz, he just straight up sucks. That's his issue. With Cell, he doesn't really get good until he's in his final transformation, or I guess his perfect form. And that can be kind of difficult for him because obviously fights are hitting very hard turn 1. I mean, look at the new Goku Black fight for Red Zone. He's hitting for like 1.5 just from the start of the fight. So this guy is definitely not going to be good in there. The ROF Blue Boys, they just kind of suck as well. So if you are going to buy a 200% lead, once again, the people I mentioned I think are smart. Other than Ginyu. Again, if you have the banner units for Ginyu's team, you can buy him. But if you don't, I would hold off on buying him. But there are other good non-200% leads on these banners that you could buy with your Memorial Dragonstones. So starting off, we do have the AGL Gogeta. This guy is very, very good. He's on some really crazy teams. He has that 70% chance to dodge when you transform with him, and he can do some crazy attack stats with his guaranteed crits. He's raising attack, or he's greatly raising attack and defense for 4 turns. So then he's carrying over a lot of attack and defense into the next turn. So then if you get additionals with him, which he is AGL, so he's got the base 5 additional, you're getting so much stats on the next turn you have him. And that with obviously the 70% chance to dodge, like I mentioned, and he's getting attack and defense when attacking. Dude, this guy's just crazy. So definitely a very good unit. If you're not like new to the game and you don't need these leads, then I think picking up this guy, if you don't have him, would be very smart because again, he's just insane. And then in his pre-transform state, he does still have this high chance to dodge. So if you want to just throw him in slot 2 or slot 3, you know, you get your super off, you get some defense there, you get some defense here, and then you have that high chance to dodge. It doesn't really matter where you are, you should be fine. Because as long as you get lucky with, you know, maybe a little bit of dodging, then obviously you're not going to take any attacks. And then his transformation condition to go into blue, which as we already mentioned makes him very busted, is very easy to get, just turn 4. So that's pretty much it with Gogeta. Next up, we do have the Blue Kaioken Goku. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about how crazy this guy is. And yes, he is very crazy, but his teams aren't really that great right now. I think it's very obvious we're going to get a big-time celebration centered around Tournament of Power very soon. So, for now, this guy isn't the craziest, but I could easily see him being, you know, a top 10 unit in the game once we get a new UI Goku, a new Jiren, you know, easy A's for all these other Tournament of Power units. So, this guy has very good potential if we get a Tournament of Power celebration. But right now, he's good. Actually, well, he's very good because his damage is still insane, but his teams aren't really the craziest. So you kind of have to go out of your way to like throw a UI Goku on the team, which can be tricky because some of the UI Gokus aren't really the best at this moment because, of course, I mean, power creep has just started to affect them all. But I could easily see this guy again being top 10 when we get a Tournament of Power celebration. And if you do throw him on, you know, some random team, he's still going to be very useful. He's still going to do a lot of damage. But, you know, his active skill, which is like the main thing about this guy, it hits like a nuke. You only get that when you have Reps Universe 7 category allies. So you do kind of have to build a team around that. But again, he can still look somewhat impressive without that. And then finally on my list, we do have the STR Cooler. So this guy is almost approaching a year old exactly, and he is still so crazy. One of the best extreme units in the game. We don't really get that many, you know, crazy extreme units, so an easy A like this is very, very important. And if you don't have him, that is why I recommend you picking him up. He's a crazy support unit. He supports Transformation Boost and Terrifying Conquerors. He is also stacking defense, so in long events, he's going to be very, very crazy. And then even in places like Super Battle Road, I mean, he's still going to be pretty impressive because he is lowering attack and defense, and he does get extra stuff when the enemy is in attack down or defense down status. So again, in Super Battle Road, he can look pretty impressive. He does also have the transformation. So when you transform with this guy, his damage is going to be just so crazy. He's stacking attack now instead of defense. I will admit, I kind of wish he got 30% defense on Super, but other than that, this guy is very, very busted. He has a ton of additionals built in. He's getting guaranteed crits when there's a pure or hybrid stance category enemy. Obviously, that's a pretty good condition. Even in some of the difficult events now, you know, you can still get the guaranteed crits. So very good with that. He's got a good link set considering who you're running him with. So overall, a good option to bring for a lot of these extreme teams. So again, if you don't have him, I think picking him up would be good because he's one of these really crazy extreme units. Now, I guess that's pretty much it with all the units I was going to mention. There are other good options to pick up. Obviously, some easy A units like the STR Namek Goku. There's the Tech Ultimate Gohan. I mean, he's still somehow still impressive to this day. Int Broly might easy A soon. I guess there's a Kid Goku, Physical Broly. The Int Goku Black's probably going to easy A. AGL Zamasu just got his reveal of his easy A, so he's going to be easy Aing soon. And then on the other banner, you've got MVP 17, you've got Physical Piccolo, Tech Trunks, who's going to easy A, the Physical Beerus, who's going to easy A for Tanabata. So there definitely are other good options. And if you're missing, I don't know, Tech Androids, and you really need help with an Androids category mission, then maybe picking them up, or maybe picking like the Cell, because he's on Androids as well, would be pretty smart. So it really all depends on what your box is looking like. But the options I mentioned, I think are some of the best choices for newer players or free-to-play players, just to get the most value out of, obviously, 150 Memorial Dragonstones, because that's a lot of Memorial Dragonstones. I don't think you'd want to waste it on, physical Raditz or one of these random old units down here. So I guess that pretty much has been the video. Let me know in the comments, again, how many Memorial Dragonstones you have, and if you did decide to buy a unit with them, let me know who you decided to buy, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.